For the first time as defending Super Bowl champions, welcome to the Kickoff Show, presented by Axalta. I'm Chris McPherson alongside Fran Duffy as the Eagles open the preseason in a half hour against the Pittsburgh Steelers at Lincoln Financial Field. Last year at this time, we were all curious as to how the Eagles would do in year two with head coach Doug Peterson and quarterback Carson Wentz. Well, folks, now Coach Peterson has ushered in the new normal, and the Eagles are expected to contend for the Super Bowl after winning it all in 2017, Fran.
Yeah, and this year they will be the hunted. That is how the saying goes. Last year they were the hunters, and they took it one game at a time, Chris, and I really think that mantra is really going to continue into 2018. As long as you keep going 1 week at a time and you are a model of consistency in the NFL, that is a winning formula. That is something that they've been preaching since day one this offseason. I expect their success to continue this year. It all gets started here tonight.
All right, so no Carson Wentz in action tonight. It's likely to be a lot of Nate Sudfeld, and the Eagles want to see what they have from the third-year quarterback. At this time a year ago, he was not on the roster. He was with Washington. He was reduced. He was waived when the Redskins went to the 53-man roster limit. The Eagles claimed him, put him on the practice squad, spent half the season there, and then was promoted to the active roster when another team was set to sign him. Fran, what are you looking to see from here tonight?
Well, I think just more consistency. We haven't really seen him in game action yet here in an Eagles uniform. We saw him for a little bit in that Week 17 game against the Dallas Cowboys, but I think we're all excited really to kind of see him when the bullets are live and we get to see live bodies being thrown at him. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's had a really good summer. I'm excited because I loved Nate Sudfeld coming out of Indiana 3 years ago. I think he's got the ability to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think he's got those traits. So I'm excited for him to kind of prove himself tonight. It's the Nate Sudfeld and Joe Callahan show here against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
All right, let's show everyone the action of what's going on at Lincoln Financial Field. We're going to take you inside the pregame warm-ups. And as you see there, number 3, Joe Callahan. As we talk about the quarterbacks, don't expect to see Nick Foles either tonight, so it's going to be a lot of Nate Sudfeld, which is very critical for this Eagles team to find out what they have in him. Is he a guy who can be a starter down the road? And obviously with Carson Wentz, you figure he's not going to be the guy here in Philadelphia, but is he someone that maybe you can move as an asset? Is he a long-term backup to Carson Wentz down the line? So, but there, right there, number 26, new number, Jay Ajayi, has earned rave reviews from head coach Doug Peterson for the way he's attacked the offseason. What do you expect from him, as he was also not in an Eagles uniform at the start of last year's preseason?
No question, and I think he's going to have the opportunity to really prove himself as a 3-down back. We know we've got Corey Clement, who a lot of people thought could have been the Super Bowl MVP over Nick Foles. Obviously, really proved himself on third down. But Jay Ajayi is a guy that I think has all the tools to be a 3-down back in the NFL. You see the vision inside, especially in those outside runs. His ability to get to the perimeter is really impressive, and he does have a level of physicality to him. So I'm excited to see what number 26 can do in his first full season as an Eagle.
Again, as a starter, I don't expect to see a ton of Ajayi tonight, but number 28, Wendell Smallwood, a huge preseason for him. Talented running back. He's flashed as a kickoff returner, but he's been felled by injuries in his first 2 NFL seasons. This is really a make-or-break time for Smallwood.
Yeah, and he's got another opportunity to prove himself here tonight because, a lot of people are kind of writing him off. You bring back Darren Sproles. You've got Corey Clement back. You've got Jay Ajayi back. Who's going to be that 4th running back? It's been a really spirited competition so far with Matt Jones, Donnell Pumphrey, and Wendell Smallwood, and also the rookie Josh Adams. I think Wendell Smallwood, we can't forget, he offers some special teams value. He was one of the better pass protectors in the backfield for the Eagles early last season. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. There are some things that he brings to this roster. I would not write him off yet. I think he's got the ability to shine here this summer in the preseason.
A little disappointing to not see Donnell Pumphrey, number 34, in uniform. He's there watching. He hasn't participated in practice the last couple of days. So he's not going to be playing, but Josh Adams, I'm excited to see what he can do. Rookie free out of Notre Dame. Didn't play all spring with a foot injury, but as you noted during practice, Fran, he's worked in with the first-team unit the last couple of days leading up to this game.
Yeah, with all the injuries in the backfield and some of the live periods, Doug Peterson was able to rotate some of those guys in. We don't want number 43 there.
No.
Darren Sproles seeing live action, same with Jay Ajayi. So you've got to see Josh Adams working with first and second team guys over the course of the last week or so. This is a local kid. He's from Lower Bucks County, went to Central Bucks South High School, and he is a player who was really productive over the course of the last 2 seasons with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. One of the best offensive lines in college football last year. That really helped him, but he is a downhill back. He's got some physicality to him. He can play on special teams. It's going to be fun to watch number 33 here tonight.
So good seeing number 43
Yes.
in that uniform once again. Again, he's another player you don't need to see in the preseason. The fact that he's out there coming off a torn ACL at this stage in his career without a brace, truly remarkable. There's second-year wide receiver Mac Hollins. Expect to see a lot of him tonight. Looking for a big growth from him going from year 1 to year 2. Obviously a key part of special teams a year ago. I'm excited to see what he can add to the offense here in 2018.
Remember that big touchdown he had last year in the preseason opener?
Yes.
You see the stiff arm in the open field. He's diving for the front pylon. Mac Hollins has those explosive traits, and I think that the Eagles coaching staff is really high on what he can be moving forward. We've seen a lot of him so far this summer with Alshon Jeffrey on the sideline. He brings size, he brings speed, he can go up and get the football. I'm excited for Mac Hollins.
There's number 81, Kamar Aiken, was added to the roster early in the preseason, early in training camp here. Played for Baltimore, played with a couple other teams. Joe Douglas knows him from his time in Baltimore, but he's going to be someone to watch because as you look at the depth chart at wide receiver, you have Alshon Jeffrey, you have Mike Wallace, you have Nelson Aguilar, you have Mac Hollins. That fifth spot, to me, Shelton Gibson's in the mix. There's some other guys there, but I think fifth and sixth, if they were to keep 6 receivers, those jobs are up for grabs.
Yeah, and it's really going to come down to some of the little things you're able to do, and I think Kamar Aiken does a lot of the little things really well. He's a very good blocker. He can play on special teams, so those are the things that would help him try and earn a roster spot. You mentioned Shelton Gibson. He's going to be working hard. Number 16 there, Bryce Treggs, certainly competing there. Veteran Marcus Wheaton, a former third-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's in the mix there as well. It's going to be a lot of fun watching. Honestly, one of the position battles I'm most excited to watch is this wide receiver group. There's a lot of guys really competing for maybe 1 or 2 jobs on the back end of this depth chart.
The thing is, it's not going to be just how they perform as receivers. You want to see the upside with these guys, but special teams.
Yep.
It's going to be the lost art, so to speak, that most fans may not be paying close attention to, but you got to keep your eyes on. Probably the best starting battle on this roster. Friend, you're excited about this one. At linebacker, the weak side, who's going to come out on top? Nathan Gary expected to start tonight. He's been with the first team through most of the summer. What are your thoughts on the battle to date?
I've been watching the rotation at linebacker over the course of camp, and really it seems like it's Nate Gary's job to lose. He has been with the first unit throughout the course of this summer, but Kamu Grugier-Hill has been worked in there. Leroy Reynolds has been worked in there. Joe Walker has been worked in the middle, allowing Jordan Hicks to shift outside. So we've seen a number of guys worked in. They brought in Corey Nelson in free agency as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the rotation looks here tonight. Kamu Grugier-Hill is all over the place this summer in training camp. I mean, he's making plays on the ball in coverage. He's flying downhill into the backfield in the run game. He's had a really good summer. So watching Nate Gary, Kamu Grugier-Hill, Joe Walker, those guys battle it out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
This defensive line is going to be so much fun to witness. We see a Z Shitu defensive tackle right there. Going to be good to see him back in pads. But so many young players to work in there. Elijah Qualls has been worked in with the first team unit as times, as Tim Jernigan has been sidelined with a back injury. But even with the injuries to him and Brandon Graham, there is still so much depth there along the defensive line, Fran.
Yeah, I love number 98. I'm really, really excited about Elijah Qualls. I was really high on him coming into his rookie year out of the University of Washington. He's stout. He's really quick. He was really productive last summer, Chris. Had a really good preseason. And then we see the rookie, number 75, Josh Sweat, coming off the edge, really adding to that depth in the defensive line. I expect both of those guys, Josh Sweat and Elijah Qualls, to get a lot of playing time here tonight. And I expect both of them to be very productive against the backups for Pittsburgh.
Josh Sweat's very interesting. Heralded high school career, suffered a significant knee injury in his senior year of high school, went to Florida State, still played as a true freshman, but that knee injury kind of hampered him throughout his career. Some teams flagged him before the draft. The Eagles think they have a steal in him. And speaking of steals there, Michael Bennett, number 77, acquired in a trade this offseason from the Seattle Seahawks, can still bring it even in his 10th season in the league, and that versatility that he's going to bring to the table, that he could play end, go inside, play tackle. Jim Schwartz has raved about what Bennett has brought to the team this offseason.
If I had to rank all 90 guys on the roster right now in terms of who is the most fun to watch at practice, he's got to be in the top 3. I mean, he brings a different level of energy to the practice field. He's been so disruptive in the limited reps we've seen in terms of live action. I mean, he's all over the place. He lines up inside and outside. I can't wait to see how Jim Schwartz and Chris Wilson utilize his versatility, his athletic ability. He's not going to be worn down like he was in Seattle, where he's playing 900, 1,000 snaps a season.
Nope.
The most snaps played by any Eagles defensive lineman last year was like 650 by Brandon Graham. Those guys rotate so well, keeps all of them fresh. I can't wait to see both Michael Bennett and Haloti Ngata with fresh legs this year.
All right, so let's look at the warm-ups taking place at Lincoln Financial Field. Now, the same team from last year is not coming back whole. All right, the team chemistry was exceptional. It was unique, and it's what helped the Eagles get to the Super Bowl and survive so many injuries. But there are a number of key guys who are going to fill some new roles as the Eagles hope to push their way back to the Lombardi Trophy once again. And Fran, we'll start at the wide receiver position, number 14, Mike Wallace, coming over from the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think with Mike Wallace, what you're really going to start with is his speed. He is one of the top game breakers in the NFL with his ability to stretch the field vertically. I think he brings a little bit more juice than what we saw last year with Torrey Smith, who obviously had such a pivotal role, especially down the stretch for this Eagles team. But I think Mike Wallace brings a little bit more juice. His ability to stretch the field, I think, will be imperative for this Eagles offense, because when you have the ability to then stretch the field, now you're working underneath with guys like Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz and Mac Hollins and Alshon Jeffrey. Those intermediate routes are really going to open up when you've got the ability to stretch the field with Mike Wallace.
Indeed. It's interesting because the players, the quarterbacks, like Carson Wentz, have said it's hard to get their timing with Wallace on point just because of the fact that he is so fast. It's a unique element that they have to bring to the field here with Mike Wallace. And look, Mike Wallace has been in the league for 10 seasons. He's hungry. That's the biggest thing with some of these free agent and trade acquisitions this offseason, is that they're still hungry to win, and they realize how special this locker room here is in Philadelphia. Mike Wallace said himself that he watched Coach Peterson coach from the sidelines last season and saw how much fun the Eagles were having and wanted to be a part of the action. And we talked about him a few moments ago, but my first guy here in terms of key new acquisitions came via trade from Seattle, and that's Michael Bennett. And again, we talked about that versatility that he brings, being able to play end, being able to play tackle. He won a Super Bowl with Seattle, was on the cusp of winning a second one, should have had a second one, but wants to come back here to Philadelphia, and get the Lombardi Trophy here. And it's just amazing when you look in the locker room. And one of the things that he brings youthful energy, so to speak. You would think after being in the league for so many years that training camp would be a grind. He wouldn't like it as much. That's not the case at all with Michael Bennett.
He's one of the guys that's always dancing in between plays. They got the music pumping during training camp, and he is always having a good time out in the field, and he really raises the energy level with the rest of that defense. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and he works with the young guys as well.
Yes.
Michael Bennett's influence, I think, is going to be one of the untold stories early on in this season, at least off the field. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. My next group, I think, is going to be the tight end position. And you look, obviously, the Eagles' first draft choice here in the second round in the 2018 NFL Draft was Dallas Goedert out of South Dakota State. And he's had a pretty good camp here, Chris.
Yes.
I mean, he's got the ability to go up and win at the catch point. He does an outstanding job in terms of reeling the ball in away from his frame. He made a number of great catches here so far this summer. He's coming along as a blocker. Justin Peele and those guys, they're going to be working with him in terms of getting him up to speed there from an NFL standpoint. You lose Brent Selleck. You lose Trey Burton. How are you going to replace those snaps? I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch Dallas Goedert and his development as he tries to get up to NFL speed. He's going to be thrown into the fire early. I expect him to get a lot of playing time here tonight. Don't forget, though, about Richard Rodgers, who the Eagles also signed in free agency away from the Green Bay Packers. Richard Rodgers has versatility. He's got NFL experience. He can play special teams, and he can go up and catch the ball as well. Made a number of nice catches throughout the course of practice. Did miss a couple days here with a knee injury, but I think Richard Rodgers, one of the more under-the-radar free agent additions for this team.
That's the biggest thing. You mentioned how the Eagles lost so much at the tight end position with Brent Selleck being released and Trey Burton signing with Chicago. To me, I feel the tight end position is in very good hands at this point. Bringing in Dallas Goedert, who has that tremendous upside, you hope that he can fit in right away and make a smooth transition, even though he's coming from the FCS level to the NFL. But if things happen for Goedert, if he has any kind of setback, you have Richard Rodgers, a trusty, reliable veteran who I feel like hasn't been flashy in the practices, has been solid, has been consistent and reliable, and that's what you really want out of that second tight end position. As you mentioned, can block, can play special teams, and look, he did catch 7 touchdown passes a couple of years ago in Green Bay, so he has had success in the league. and he's played with a pretty good quarterback there in Aaron Rodgers. Now he's playing with a good one here in Philadelphia in Carson Wentz. I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball for my next player, and he was a rookie last season. We saw him a little bit in the regular season finale against the Dallas Cowboys. A player who earned my respect because of the way he came back from a terrible injury, and that's Sidney Jones at cornerback. Okay, this is a player who played at Washington, was an All-American player there, gets selected in the second round because of the potential, because the Eagles felt that he'll be able to come all the way back from the Achilles injury. He comes to the East Coast, and he knows he's not going to be able to play, but he learned from the guys like Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod and all the veterans on the team, Patrick Robinson a year ago, Jalen Mills, and Corey Unlin, the defensive backs coach, tested him each and every day in the meeting room as if he were to go out and play on Sundays. Sidney Jones focused on his rehab, got himself healthy, got himself to the point where he could be on the roster and play in that regular season finale. He's been healthy throughout all of training camp here. He's been playing primarily as the first-team nickel, so it'll be interesting to see if he stays in that role tonight. But also, when the stars come out, does he get to go to the outside, and do we get to see some of that action? Patrick Robinson's role as the first-team nickel going to be so critical to replace. Can Sidney Jones be up to the task? It will be his first full year of playing in the NFL, Fran.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. Honestly, it's the number one storyline for me going into this season is replacing Patrick Robinson, making sure that whether it's Sidney Jones, Devontae Bosme, Jalen Mills, whoever that is able to kind of take the torch from Robinson, what he was able to do during that Super Bowl run, and really kind of keep this defense going. I'm going to go with another guy. You mentioned that versatility for Sidney Jones, play inside, outside. I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. I'm going to go from a skill player to down in the trenches. Matt Pryor, the rookie offensive lineman from TCU. He was a sixth-round pick. He has had an outstanding summer. And you look at one-on-ones, you look at team periods, he is moving people off the ball. He's got outstanding strength and power at the point of attack. And with Matt Pryor, you also have a guy who can play both guard and tackle. He's one of the few players on this Eagles offensive line this summer who has gotten quality reps at both spots. The Eagles like his ability to be able to play both positions. I expect him to get more time at guard here tonight, but he's a lot of fun to watch. Keep an eye on him late in this game.
I'm going to stick in the trenches here, okay? You mentioned the offensive line. I'm going to go back to the defensive line. We talked extensively about Michael Bennett, but how about another free agent acquisition in Haloti Ngata? Once upon a time, arguably and maybe definitely the best nose tackle in the entire NFL. You figure, how would he fit in this scheme? Well, after a couple of years with the Detroit Lions, ended last season on injured reserve with the elbow injury, didn't want to end his career like that, won a Super Bowl, comes to his locker room, and again brings that same energy. He just loves the game of football, and he's mentoring the young guys. And I love in the locker room, when you go to the defensive end, defensive line section, and you have Chris Long, Michael Bennett, and Haloti Ngata, their lockers in a row, three in a row there. Just all that experience, all that wisdom, all that leadership that they're bringing to this football team. Now, Fran, look, the Super Bowl win was already 6 months ago. Can't believe that. But last weekend, we got to celebrate one of our own going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yes, Brian Dawkins, Weapon X, changed the game, how it's looked at and played at the safety position, becoming a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, he was also an emotional and spiritual leader for the Eagles defense, and he epitomized what it meant to play football here in the city of brotherly love. Let's take a look at the best from his speech from last weekend.
All right, take it.
Let's talk about these Eagles fans. I know some of you drove all the way from Philly here. And listen, I have a good understanding that you don't have money just to waste. So that means that you put hard-earned money that you could be saving to come out here and celebrate with your boy. So thank you. Thank you for loving me the way that I love you. I love you back. And I thank you. Thank you for everything.
All right, Mick Dials, partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Fran, you know, when we look back at Dawkins' career, just I got goosebumps hearing him speak. It was emotional. It was authentic. It was honest. It was everything we've come to expect from Brian Dawkins. You're actually working on a series now that's going to spotlight some of the key plays from his career?
Yeah, the old school All-22 series, we do it every year on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. And so I love every summer going back and looking at some of those old games, the Jim Johnson era, the Buddy Ryan era. And every year, I love just finding some of those great moments from Brian Dawkins. We've broken down the game against Pittsburgh when he's diving through the air and swatting a Ben Roethlisberger pass. We've got a couple good ones here as well. So look out for that on PhiladelphiaEagles.com.
All right, now Dawkins wasn't the only former Eagle to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Terrell Owens, wide receiver, a key part of that 2004 NFC Championship team, also went in. And in a move that kind of mirrored his illustrious career, he held his own induction ceremony at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. Get your popcorn ready as we hear the best of his remarks.
I want to address my fellow Hall of Fame honorees. Bobby Beathard, Robert Brazile, Brian Dawkins, Jerry Kramer, Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, and the freak, Randy Moss. I want to say congratulations to you guys. I've already reached out to you guys individually, and I've expressed, and I'm expressing again, my utmost respect for each of you and for what we have accomplished. We are 8 of 318 greatest players to ever play the game, and that's truly amazing.
All right, I wonder if Owens had went to Canton, whether some of the wounds that took place from that 2005 season could have been healed. Well, we have so much more to get to here on the Kickoff Show presented by Axalta. We're going to show you the pregame festivities live from Lincoln Financial Field. But a quick note here, if you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, you need to come over to PhiladelphiaEagles.com or the Eagles mobile app to watch the rest of the show. We'll be back after these few messages.
So C-Mac, we're going to shift the desk a little bit. We'll get the Eagle logo in the back.